Hey, what is up, guys? Flex Media here, bringing you yet another video on Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle. And we are here over on the Dokkan Battle subreddit. So, big shout out to Goronja. This was posted on January 3rd of this year. And he actually went through and calculated all of the EZA stats of all of the leads, the mono 120 leads. So, obviously, super extreme tech, AGL, STR, Fizz, and Int, right? So I think a question probably on everyone's mind is, when will we be getting these EZAs? Well, I think it's difficult to say. So number one, there's 12 of these, right? So, or I'm sorry, 10 of these, excuse me. And then, of course, if you count Fizz, Vegito Blue, and then the AGL Rose, right? So I guess we can throw those in the mix. But Vegito Blue, remember, is already out. So I think we need to take a look at it from the JP perspective. So who does JP have left? Well, there's only 3 units. So most recently, they got the EZA for the Int Blue Vegeta. And he's quite good, by the way. You know, essentially the Future Saga Blue Vegeta. And then they have Spirit Sword Trunks. And then they'll have AGL Rose, and then Fizz Vegito Blue. So I think after all of those units get their EZAs, which I think we could expect all of those within the next... I suppose it's hard to say the way they're releasing EZAs. It's just impossible to know. But I would say within the next 6 months, we'll have all of those done. Like, those will be done and out of the way. And then after that, we'll be able to move on to the mono 120 leads. And again, it's difficult to know who they're going to start with, because the release schedule, like their original releases, like these guys all came out essentially like in, what, 2017, correct? Yeah, 2017 these guys came out, so I don't think it's going to have too much bearing. I hope that they do it on sort of a, you know, by need basis. So what I would wager is that the Vegeta and the Goku will probably be the last ones, the SS4s, that is. And I think we're going to go ahead and start with the extreme type leaders. And I think that they will actually end up getting their EZAs first, but I think it's very realistic to see the first one, who I hope is actually this guy here, Tech SS3 Broly. He needs it the worst, or the most, I suppose. But I think it's realistic to say that in 2020, we will at least see, you know, a couple, you know, at least one or a couple of these guys get their EZAs. So, but I don't want to waste any more time, because I don't want to make this video too long. But let's kind of start just from left to right with the extreme type leaders. Okay, so here we are. So again, we're going to just start from left to right, and I'm going to keep this as concise as I possibly can. You know, be expecting at least, I would say, a 20-minute video. There's just so many, you know, to talk about, so much to talk about with these units. So obviously, this is Mythic Evolution Super Saiyan 3 Broly, released on the JP side of the game in June of 2017. Again, I don't think that's going to have much bearing on when they're released in terms of their EZAs, but we'll see, I guess. He is, of course, the extreme tech type leader at Key 3, and then 120 to stats. His super attack is the Gigantic Omega, and he is going to cause immense damage and greatly lower defense. His passive skill is Overflowing Power, attack 100%, and then attack plus 12% and defense minus 10% per key sphere obtained. His links: Saiyan Lineage, Berserker, Prepared for Battle, Super Saiyan, Nightmare, Limit Breaking Form, and Fierce Battle. His categories: Super Saiyan 3 and Pure Saiyans. So, let's kind of start at the top here. What they could possibly do. Well, I think it's very easy. You just, you know, in terms of the monotyping, what I think you should do with the advent of the new Extreme Super Battle Road, I think it would be really, really cool if you made them Key 4 leaders. If you don't do that, then you do Key 3 and then 130 to stats. So kind of just like the new support awakenings. I think that that's the way to go. So we'll just say, because I don't think they're going to go too crazy, to be honest. I also want all of you to keep that in mind. Now, there are some glaring weaknesses with these cards, with many of these cards anyway. And I think that if they can fix those glaring weaknesses, that's really all these cards need, right? So along with their, you know, the modest stat buffs and then modest percentage buffs along with that, these guys are going to be, you know, freaking insane, right? So, but in terms of leader skill, let's just do extreme tech. I don't really even care about the super tech type. Key 3, and we'll say 130 to stats. I think that's pretty reasonable to do. And I think if you just fix a few things with Broly, man, he becomes a really, really nice asset to that extreme tech team. And I mean, honestly, his other 2 categories as well, SS3 and Pure Saiyans, specifically probably Pure Saiyans, you know, you can get him linked up with one of the other Brolys, right? So anyway, his super attack currently causes immense damage and greatly lowers defense. I mean, I think that's, you know, pretty basic. We've talked about the difference between lowering defense and lowering attack. Lowering attack is far more valuable in something like Super Battle Road. I don't think they're going to do that just with every stinking unit. I think what you do is you just either keep it the same. That's what I think they'll do. What I would like them to do is greatly lower attack and defense. That would be really sick, but I think probably let's switch it to massively lowering defense. You know, I think that, again, if you just make these subtle changes, I think it just makes him a lot better. And let's kind of go over his passive skill. This is what needs the biggest improvement for SS3 Broly, right? All right, so his passive is attack 100%, attack plus 12% in defense, minus 10% per key sphere obtained. So obviously the glaring weakness is the defense there. I believe how it works is if he gets only 2 orbs, his defense is down to 0, and obviously you can't have negative defense. So that's what you fix, right? It's very simple. If you want to make him absolutely insane, crazy, broken, let's go attack 100%, and then we'll say defense 100%, or you can say defense 50%, right? And then do attack and defense 20% per key sphere obtained. Again, just like the mono support type units, right? So give him a very, again, a very just modest, just add defense to him, man, and it's that simple. And then all of a sudden he becomes absolutely insane. Oh yeah, one more thing I think they should add to his passive is just make him a damn orb changer. If you're gonna make his passive based on key spheres, you gotta make him an orb changer. You have to. You know, you can't rely on everyone to have, you know, like the second form cell, you know, because like no one summons on those fucking banners, right? You know, if you're free to play or limited to play, right, you're summoning on red coin banners. So, you know, obviously they're not going to swap his links around or anything like that. You'd like to have him see some more categories. Like, why couldn't they put him on Terrifying Conquerors, right? Put him on STR Cooler's team. Whoo, baby, could you imagine him next to 2 STR Coolers, given that 30% support? You know, I mean, it's really obvious what they can do with this guy. I think he clearly needs it the most. He is just not viable, really, in today's meta, and on any team. He's just not very viable. You know, another thing to consider is giving him Ki on his passive as well. But if you're going to make him an orb changer, yeah, I wouldn't bother with the Ki. The only reason is because, you know, that SS3 team, they're all over in a flash units. 95% of those units are over in a flash units. So that's what I think you should do with SS3 Broly. But what I would like to do is let's not spend too much time on him. Let's move on to the next one. All right, so kind of just moving again from left to right, we are on the Ultimate Android Super 17. So this dude, I think, has probably, in my opinion, the most potential. I love the design of this card right now. He just needs some minor tweak in it. I think he'll be all right. So his release date, April 1st, 2017. Let's kind of go over his passive. You know, again, the leader skill, they're all going to be the same, right? So I'm not going to, you know, bother going over that. And don't even worry about the super type, man. If you want to make them, you know, Key 3 or, you know, 100%, that's fine. You know, you're not really, again, with the advent of the Extreme Super Battle Road, it's not even really an option, right? You can't bring super types. And mono typing is just, other than Super Battle Road, no one runs mono teams, you know, not really. So, but let's kind of go over the rest of him, right? So his super attack is the Shocking Death Ball. and it's going to cause immense damage and greatly lower defense. His passive skill is damage received minus 40%, and then attack 30% with each attack received up to 120%. His links: Android Assault, Fear and Faith, Fused Fighter, Nightmare, GT, Shocking Speed, and Fierce Battle. His categories are Androids, Artificial Life Forms, and Target Goku. So, again, I think fixing him is very simple. What I think you should do is primarily you're running this dude on either androids or artificial life forms, right? Make him fit in with the rest of the androids, please, and have him lower attack and defense, please. So greatly lower attack and defense. That's what you do with him. I think that's very simple. And that just gives him a whole new level of busted, right? Because of his passive skill where he's reducing damage by 40%. So him reducing damage by 40%, remember back in the day, so back in 2017, man, units didn't have defense. So if you had any amount of defense, you know, including damage reduction, you were pretty broken, right? You couldn't take damage, not even from a super attack. So I think it's simple though. What you should do is, so this attack plus 30% with each attack received, keep that damage received minus 40%. If they want to up it, I mean, be my guest. I mean, make them as broken as you wanted. But I think all you do is you raise that from 120%. Let's go ahead and say 180%. I think that's completely reasonable because you have to build up, right? It's not as though he's starting, you know, with 180% to stats. So this is what you do. You do attack and defense 30% with each attack received up to 180%. And yes, I understand 180% defense, 40% damage reductions, ridiculous, right? You know, it is. But think of how many times he's got to get hit before he reaches his maximum passive, you know? So yeah, if you want to make him indestructible, I mean, go for it. Go for it. But he's got to have defense on his passive. If you want to say, you know, attack plus 30% with each attack up to 180, and you could say defense up to 90. I think that's completely reasonable, right? Because if you look at a unit with the exact same damage reduction, so AGL Zamasu comes to mind, you know, he's not completely invulnerable to damage, you know, even if you got him, you know, paired up with, you know, Gowasu and Zamasu or something, right? So I think if you give him up to 90% defense, that probably makes him a little more balanced. But again, make these dudes as broken as you want, right? I mean, the sky's the limit for these guys. So that's kind of my final verdict on him. I think if you just give him some, you know, a little bit more attack, keep that damage reduction, and then of course you got to give him defense, right? You have to in today's meta. And get my boy some more categories, man. Can you please, for the love of God, put him on Fusion? He's got Fused Fighter. Put him on the Fusion category. He is literally, he's literally the Fusion of Android 17. Please, give him some more categories. But let's move on. All right, so speaking of units with a lot of potential, you've got Evil Incursion Super Genemba, released April 28th, 2017. And then let's keep going. So again, we already know the deal with the leader skill, right? So, but his super attack is Rakshasa's Claw. I always have to say it slow. Causes immense damage and greatly lowers defense. His passive skill, Beyond Space, is attack 80%, guard activated against all types, medium chance to evade enemies' attack, including super attack. His links are quite good. Big Bad Bosses, Shocking Speed, Metamorphosis, Brutal Beatdown, Nightmare, Fear and Faith, and Fierce Battle. And then, of course, he is only on movie bosses and Transformation Boost. So, again, we don't need to go over leader skill. His super attack is going to cause immense damage and greatly lower defense. So, this is what you do. I think with Genemba, I think that you can kind of just keep it at greatly lowering. Because of what we're going to do with his passive, right? You could say massively lowering if you wanted, but I don't think he really will need it. If again, make him as broken as you want to make him, right? I mean, the sky's the limit with these units, and with any EZA, truly, like, the sky's the limit. I mean, who knows? Maybe they give him, you know, a chance to seal or something. I mean, who knows, right? They could do anything with that super attack and his passive. You just don't know with EZAs. But just always remember that with these mono type, these 120 leads, you don't have to do much You really don't have to do much to make them really, really good. All you have to do is fix their glaring weaknesses, and you're good to go, right? With that modest stat buff and then a modest percentage buff, they're going to be so good. All right, so his passive skill, I think it's pretty easy, right? He needs defense. So why don't we just say, to make him moderately busted, let's say attack and defense plus 100%, and then guard activated against all attacks, and then just go ahead and keep that medium chance to evade. Just keep it simple. So if you want to, balance him a little bit more, you could say attack and defense 80%, but at that point, you're not really setting him apart from, Int Genemba, right? He doesn't really replace Int Genemba. I suppose he does. I suppose it makes him more viable. But, Int Genemba does all these things, right? So he does. And I think he's got the exact same link set, correct? I mean, I'd have to double check, but, Int Genemba was a direct replacement because Int Genemba got defense. So if you give this dude, you got to make him. It was the same thing with Fizz Vegito Blue, man. You had to set him apart from the other Vegito Blues to make them all useful in different situations, right? So, another thing you could do, again, like you could add something funky to his super attack, right? Where he could have like a modest like defensive stack, like a 3 or 6 turn defensive stack or something like that, or an attack stack, like that would make him really, really good, I think. So if you make him stack for 6 turns, like stack attack for 6 turns, passive skill, attack, and defense 80%, I'd be okay with that. That would make him really good. And again, that would set him apart modestly from Genemba, right? I mean, Genemba gets that big, Int Genemba that is, gets that big attack buff once he gets hit. So, I mean, again, it's hard to know what they're going to do. This guy, I think if you just give him defense, he at least is usable again. He's honestly pretty good now, and with that link set, man, that link set is crazy good. Just crazy good. Big Bad Bosses, Shocking Speed, Brutal Beatdown Nightmare, Fierce Battle, Fear and Faith. Even Metamorphosis is pretty good if you can get the link active. On Extreme STR, you can, actually. But anyway, guys, so I think my final verdict, I think let's give him a 6-turn stack on his attack, greatly lower defense, and then attack and defense 80%, and then keep the rest the same. And I think this dude just becomes an absolute fucking monster, right? But let's not spend too much time on him. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so here we are. This is Fizz Final Form Cooler. So this is Open the Gates of Hell Cooler Final Form. Now, currently, so March 2017, as you can see here. Now, this dude already is actually pretty good. Like, you can easily use him. I mean, I've used him in the Legendary Goku. I've used him on Super Battle Road many times. Many a times. So, you don't have to do a lot with him. His leader skill, Extreme Fizz, Key 3, 120 to stats. His super attack is the Death Crasher, and it causes immense damage and greatly lowers defense. His passive skill is Abject Hell. Attack and defense 100%. Launch an additional attack, which has a chance to become super attack, which that is a 10% chance, by the way. And then his links. Strongest Clan in Space, Thirst for Conquest, Big Bad Bosses, Shocking Speed, Universe's Most Malevolent, Metamorphosis, and Fierce Battle. He's on several teams: Movie Bosses, Transformation Boost, Wicked Bloodline, Terrifying Conquerors, Target Goku, and Last Resort. All right. Now, this guy, he needs the least of all. Like, he's already good. I think, again, if you just make some subtle differences, I think he just becomes, that much better. He's going to get, for sure, the Fizz Final Form Frieza, I think, or Full Power Frieza, right? He's going to get that treatment where he barely got anything on his EZA, and it made him really, really good. So this is what you do with this guy. So I would just keep it. He doesn't really need anything else but greatly lowering defense. If you want to go crazy, you could have a massively lower defense. But I think where you need to improve him is in his passive skill. So right now he's attack and defense 100%. Make it attack and defense 120, because why not, right? He's good, and with a modest, as I've mentioned, twice I think already, a modest attack and defensive buff, along with his, modest increase in stats, is going to make him insane, right? Launch an additional attack, which has a chance to become a super attack. Just make it a medium chance, would you? I mean, really, make it a 10% chance is nothing. Like, if we go down, yeah, 10%. That's just not enough, right? I think that that's the problem. And then again, if you want to massively lower defense, that's all right. But this 10% chance, it's got to stop, right? So give him the Fizz Vegito Blue treatment. Make it a medium chance. I think you're going to be a lot better off. I mean, if you want to go insane, you do a high chance. I mean, that just makes him insane, right? I think it would also be interesting if he did something cool like raise defense on Super. Just like a one-turn raise. Again, kind of like, I just love the design of Fizz Vegito Blue. Give him just like a one-turn defensive buff. And then when he supers more than one time, he just becomes, you know, invulnerable to damage, essentially. So I would go, let's do greatly lowers and then greatly raises defense for one turn. And then you give him that medium chance to become a super attack. So he could potentially launch 3 super attacks, right? He'll be one of those units, just like STR Cooler, right? So I think this guy needs the least amount to make him really, really good. But give him some sort of defensive raise on his super attack, and I think he becomes really, really good because you could potentially get 3 supers, right? So anyway, guys, we don't need to, you know, talk much more about him. He's already good. Let's move on to the last one. All right, so this is Transcendent Majin Buu Kid, or, you know, affectionately known as Int Kid Buu, right? So he came out April 17th, 2017. And then his leader skill is Extreme Int, Key 3, 120 to stats. His super attack is the Super Vanishing Ball. It's going to cause immense damage and recover 12% HP. His passive skill is Single Mindedness. Attack 100% plus 70% attack when HP is 30% or above. And then his links are Majin, Brutal Beatdown, More Than Meets the Eye, Big Bad Bosses, Infinite Regeneration, Wall Standing Tall, and Fierce Battle. His categories: Resurrected Warriors, Majin Buu Saga, Transformation Boost, and Artificial Life Forms. Okay, now, this guy, he doesn't, how do I say, like, he doesn't need a ton, but there are, like, some very glaring weaknesses with him. So let's just start at the top, though. Leader skill, we already know what we're doing, right? Key 3, 130 to stats. Don't even worry about super type, right? His super attack is the Super Vanishing Ball. And that's going to cause immense damage and recover 12% HP. This is what I think you do. Because I don't want to make him, you know, I think they're going to make these units somewhat balanced. So I think if you cause immense damage and then you recover 15% HP, I think if you go any higher than that, dude, he becomes one of the better, like literally one of the best units in the game, and we'll go over why. I think if you think about this, if you got this dude rainbowed, and let's just say you wanted to go crazy and be like, oh, 20% HP, and it's like, well, if he does an additional super attack, you've just recovered 40% HP. So I think that if you make it, you know, 12%, if you make it 15% HP, I think that's completely reasonable, right? And that's sort of on par with a lot of other units, right? So, like, you know, Tech Transforming Frieza comes to mind, right? You know, he recovers up to 15% HP at the start of turn. Some other units like Android 21, she recovers HP on super attack. Like, I think hers is only 10% HP. I don't remember right offhand, but I just don't think you can go much higher than 12%. But go ahead and you can just keep it simple right there. Now, his passive skill is Single Mindedness. Attack 100% plus attack 70% when HP is 30% or above. I'd say go ahead and just keep that. But all you do, you go attack and defense 100%, and then plus an additional attack and defense 70%. You could say, let's say a 70% attack when HP is 30% or above, and 70% defense when HP is 30% or below. I think that would be really, really cool for him and make him super defensive when your HP is low. I'm not a huge fan of the 30% threshold. I would like it a lot better if it were 50%. I think if you make him, I'm gonna go with that. So we'll say attack and defense 100%. 70% attack when HP is 50% or above, and 70% defense when HP is 50% or below. Sorry, I could not spit that out. But I think that makes him really, really cool and kind of a unique card where he gets, you know, defense as his, you know, HP is lower, right? And the other big, big glaring weakness is Ki. You know, if you want to make him, like, if you want to make him unique, I doubt they'd do this, but if you want to make him unique and give him Ki 4 and 130 to stats, I'd be okay with it, because this dude has no Ki. Look at this. He's got 0 Ki links. So unless you're running support on rotation, like the Int Metal Cooler or something like that, who's providing you Ki, this dude never super attacks. And it's such a shame, because he's got a really, really good ability, right? Recovering HP on super. And obviously he can do some crazy damage still right now. He can. It's either you do that, or you can just straight up give him, you know, Ki 3 or Ki 4 in his passive. Just, you know, let him give himself, you know, 4 Ki. Why not? If he's got 0 Ki links, what's the harm in that? Because then at that point you'd only need, you know, 2 Ki to super it, and I think that would be the way to go. So I think that this is probably a good way to end the video. I don't want to make this too horribly long, and just always remember, like, when you're looking at these dudes, they don't need a lot. I think Int Kid Buu is an exception. He needs Ki bad. He needs it. And obviously, a lot of these units need defense as well. There are a few exceptions, of course, but smash a like if you enjoyed the video, and let me know what monotype EZA, which one of these 120% leaders are you most excited for? Because I think mine would be AGL Super 17. I think he's got the most potential, just to be offensively and defensively just a stud, right? But consider subscribing if you're new. I'm trying to bring you guys interesting and unique content every single day. I love all you guys. Thank you for the support, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later.